Hello friends, Mandar here. I am back with another video. Today we are going to talk about the budget reconciliation bill, what is going to happen with them, what are the next steps. We are also going to talk about the RFEs that people are receiving for 693 medical form, and we are going to talk about some of the important questions about the processing times and expedition of EADs and things like that. So these are the top questions that I have received in the last couple of days. There may be something that you might be interested in. So if you are interested in this topic, watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now today is Daughter's Day, so happy Daughter's Day to all of you. I have a beautiful daughter, but this is the most pink that I have got in my wardrobe. So now let's talk about the Senate bill about the reconciliation. So as you know, last week Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough, she rejected the proposed immigration clauses that were into this reconciliation bill. Now what remains to be seen is the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer immediately made a statement that he's going to propose an alternative clauses in the bill, alternative things in the bill regarding the immigration. Now we haven't received any text regarding those, but it can be assumed that there might be a pathway to green card for a lot of undocumented immigrants and the dreamers. Now they will also allow, I would say, the documented dreamers to be part of it. But how much of that text changes from the original text remains to be seen. Regardless of, some of the progressive Democrats are also requesting that both these bills, the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill, be passed at the same time. They have issues regarding the amount that is going to be spent, and there are some clauses that they have issue with. So let's see what happens, because Nancy Pelosi has said that she wants to bring both the bills to the table next week, but we'll see what happens and what is the final text that gets included in the bill. Now I'm still optimistic that this reconciliation bill is going to be passed. Now what remains to be seen is what gets included and what gets excluded. Now with that said, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so that as soon as there is any update to this reconciliation bill, I'll be sure to make a video in simple layman's terms that everybody will understand. So stay tuned for that. Now let's look at the first question. This is one of the common questions that I'm going to talk about today. One is RFIs for 693. Now there are a lot of different kinds of RFIs that people are getting. Remember, in the last 2 months, USCIS is making their best effort to use as many immigrant visas as possible for the employment based category, to use them and issue out the green card. Now in that perspective, what is happening is they are sending out requests for evidences for the medical purpose a lot. Now they are sending a variety of these out. Some of the RFEs request the applicants to send or respond with medical forms in a certain duration of time. Some of them request them to be posted to a certain USCIS office, to a certain visa officer. And yet another category of applications are getting the RFEs for submitting their medicals at the local office, because presumably their file is at the local office and the visa officer is in the local office who is waiting for your medicals to be submitted. Now regardless of what kind of RFE you get, it is absolutely critical that you respond to it in time. I would say immediately take an appointment if you haven't already to do your medicals, and as soon as you get it, follow the instructions on the letter or the RFE and submit it as soon as possible. In some cases, if you haven't even received your RFE and if your priority date is current in the final action chart, you should proactively go ahead, submit your medicals to USCIS as soon as possible. That may trigger your case to be approved before 30th of September. Now remember, this magic date of September 30th is the end of the fiscal year 2021. So you might want to take the advantage of this rush that USCIS is doing to issue out green cards so that your file will be addressed before 30th of September. A lot of my friends and contacts have received their green cards in the last several weeks. They have been waiting for their green cards for several years, and suddenly their cases have moved pretty fast in the last several months, and they have actually gotten their green cards, so which is amazing. And another thing that I have come to notice is some are getting a courtesy notice of I-693. Now I don't have the exact text what it is what is included in this courtesy notices in about I-693, but I was assume that it would say if you haven't already submitted your medicals, do submit them one way or the other. So I would highly recommend to respond to any of these notices as soon as possible so that you can get your case adjudicated. Now I can guarantee that a lot of people who have been waiting for a long time that I know have been getting their green cards in the last several weeks or several days, and they will continue to do so until September 30th. So if you have your priority date current, especially in the final action date chart, be surprised or be pleasantly surprised if you get your green card before September 30th. Now there is another important question and very common question I have been getting is there any way to expedite 485 application? In other words, is there any way you can premium process your I-485? Now I can tell you clearly that there is no premium processing or no way to expedite your I-485 case. USCIS does not allow any expedition for that. Now there might be some things that you can do to expedite your case. For example, you can submit your medicals along with your I-485 application so that your application file, when it's documentarily complete, is not held up because of the medicals not being submitted. So if you haven't submitted it already along with your applications, go ahead and submit them. That is one way to make sure that your file is complete for your adjudication. Another way is if your 485 is pending and if the processing times that are in the USCIS website have already passed in your case, then you can contact your senators or congressmen. Sometimes those people have some dedicated staff that has connection with the USCIS, and they may be able to kind of trigger or they may be able to nudge the USCIS to look at your case if it's been sitting in some pile. So that might be another way to expedite, or not so much expedition, but to nudge USCIS to look at your case and make a decision on it. So those are the two ways. Those are the only two ways you can do something about your 485. Otherwise, there is no formal method by which you can expedite your 485. However, your EAD is something that might be expedited, and there are in certain scenarios where you might be losing your job because of not having a visa or not having an EAD. In such scenario, there might be something that you can do or create a case to expedite your EAD, getting your EAD, so that you can save your job. So work with a lawyer if you are in a situation like that. Now there is another, and this is very common that I am hearing, that if you are a family and if there is a primary applicant and there are dependent applicants such as your spouse and your children, in many cases I have seen that primary applicant gets their green card, but the application of the spouse or children are not yet adjudicated. This is happening more and more common, and I have given some of the reasons in my previous videos, such as if the filing was done at a different date, USCIS makes all attempts to make the adjudication of the cases for a family at the same time, but there are cases where they might not be doing the adjudication of the entire family at the same time, and this is happening more and more. There might be other examples where your spouse's other non-immigrants visas may have been rejected in the past, or they may have had some issues. So if that's the case, there might be a situation primary applicant's green card gets approved first and then the spouse's gets later. Now there is a typical question in this scenario: if the primary applicant gets their green card and the spouse does not get the green card, what happens to the EAD that spouse is working on? I would say the spouse is still able to maintain the EAD because technically the spouse is still on pending adjustment of status. So they are in a valid status and they can continue to use their EAD even though the primary applicant has already gotten their green card. The second thing is there any impact to the spousal case if the primary applicant who has received their green card changes their job? I don't think so, because at the time of making the 485 application, that application was valid based on your primary applicant's case, by the pure virtue that the primary applicant has already got their green card, the pending application of the spouse should still be intact and should not have any bearing on the fact that the spouse has already got their green card or has changed the job. So hope that is clear. A lot of people have been asking me about the processing times. The USCIS website shows processing times that are not consistent with the actual processing time that people have been seeing in getting their green cards. In certain scenarios, the processing time is showing 11 to 17 months, whereas the individual claims that they know for a fact that some of the other individuals have gotten their green cards well within that time frame and not as long as that time frame. And that could happen because that is just a suggested time. So don't put too much of an emphasis on what is the processing time that is mentioned on the USCIS website. It is just an average. I would say a lot of applicants may still get their green cards adjudicated well within that time frame. Now there is another very common question. A lot of people have been getting their green cards and have been asking me a question that can they change the job right after getting the green card? Is there any wait time? Is there any wait time such as 90 days or 180 days? Now different people will tell you different things, but I can tell you one thing: there is no such law, no such clause anywhere in USCIS website that tells that you have to wait in your current job after you get your green card. Now mind you, at the time of adjudication of your 485, you need to have a bona fide job offer, in the sense that there should be a pending job ready for you to take on as soon as you get your green card. Now nowhere does it say that you have to be in that job for a certain duration after you get your green card. Now some people will advise you to work for the same company for 6 months or so. That is just an arbitrary duration. There is no such thing mentioned anywhere. So say for instance, if you change your job right after you get your green card, will that create any issue at the time of naturalization? I don't think so, because the naturalization process is very different, and it will take into account whether you got your green card in a legitimate way. So as long as your case was clear, as long as there was a valid job offer for you, and as long as you cleared all the background checks and things like that while getting your green card, your job change after getting the green card should not have any bearing on your naturalization process. So hope that is clear. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is India is starting to welcome back foreign visitors because it was stopped for quite a while, about 18 months or so, and they just the Ministry of Home Affairs just made a declaration that they will be welcoming back the visitors, foreign visitors. So these are non-Indian citizens, so they will be able to travel to India on a visitor visa pretty soon. So these are some of the things that I just wanted to cover in this video. If there is any particular topic that you want me to cover in my next video, please put them in the comment section below. I do read them and I do take notes of them. And if there are any common questions, I make sure that I include those in my next video. So if you have anything, just let me know in the comment section or send me an email, and I'll be sure to include it in my next video. So if you like the content of this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.